Business Book Summaries. Introduction. Have you ever tried to start working out more, eat healthier, or quit smoking? You might have succeeded for a few days, weeks, or even months, but then the craving for your old habits became too strong, and you fell back into your old ways. This happens to many of us. We want to make a positive change, but it's hard to stick to it in the long run. If you can relate to this, you understand the influence that habits have on our lives. In this guide, we'll explore how to break bad habits and develop new, positive ones by understanding how our brains impact our daily choices. The Habit Loop, Chapter 1. Think about your morning routine. How do you usually start your day? You probably have a set routine, like getting out of bed, making coffee, or preparing a morning smoothie. You do these tasks almost automatically, without thinking much about them. But have you ever wondered why you do them without consciously deciding? The answer lies in how our brains form habits, particularly in a region called the basal ganglia near the spinal cord. To understand this better, let's look at a study involving mice navigating a maze to find chocolate. As the mice learned the route, their brain activity decreased. This process, called chunking, allows our brains to conserve energy by automating routine tasks. Every habit can be broken down into three parts: the cue or trigger, like your alarm clock; the routine, your set of actions; and the reward, enjoying your morning coffee. When you get the reward, your brain reinforces the link between the cue and the routine. Habits are choices we make consciously at some point, but then do automatically, often daily. Think about how many of your daily decisions are habitual actions you take without even thinking about them. You'll likely realize that at least 40% of your choices fall into this category. Now, let's explore how to use the power of habit to our advantage. The Golden Rule of Habit Change, Chapter 2, Morning and Afternoon Routines, become a significant part of your life as you go about your daily activities. For example, you may visit the same coffee shop every morning or hit the gym after work. These routines eventually become habits. While some habits, like these examples, are harmless and even healthy, they demonstrate how easy it is to adopt unhealthy habits. Imagine, instead of going to your favorite coffee shop, you start going to a fast food restaurant and order sugary drinks and unhealthy food. As you notice the effects on your weight, it becomes challenging to resist the temptation to stop there. You might justify it by saying, "just this last time," and then repeat this behavior, creating a craving for the reward at the end of the habit loop. Breaking a bad habit can be difficult because of the strong craving for that reward. However, understanding the science of habits can help you make positive changes in your life. Each morning, you might crave that sugary rush from sipping a sweet tea and indulging in a savory sausage biscuit that feels heavy in your stomach. To overcome these bad habits, we need to make changes in the habit loop. In this chapter, Duhigg discusses the case of Ray, who owns a surf and turf restaurant called Sea on the Range. While his business was once thriving, it has started to decline due to the habits of Ray and his employees. Ray, working almost 80 hours a week, has developed a drinking habit to cope with stress. He used to have a double whiskey at the end of the day to relax, but now he finds himself craving it earlier, sometimes even having a cold beer before the day ends. Ray's drinking habit is affecting his patience with employees and, consequently, his profits. He has become short-tempered, yelling at employees in front of customers, and struggling to retain good workers. It's clear that Ray needs to change his habit to turn his business around. To change a habit, it's essential to identify each element of the habit loop. Ray was able to do this. Cue, the end of a stressful day. Craving, the desire for the burn of whiskey. Routine, sipping double whiskey. Reward, the relaxation he feels after having a drink. Duhigg suggests the golden rule of habit change: instead of changing the cue or reward, change the routine. Even a small adjustment in the habit loop can have a significant impact on your life. So, how can Ray change his routine to break his drinking habit? Ray is fortunate to have a pool in his backyard. Instead of craving the burn of whiskey, he can start craving the refreshing smell of chlorine and the sensation of water washing away the day's sweat. He can replace sips of whiskey with laps in the pool, shifting his routine from drinking to swimming after a long day at work. This illustrates why programs like Alcoholics Anonymous are successful. Participants replace the routine of drinking with attending meetings and sharing their struggles with others, helping them manage their cravings. However, merely changing the routine may not be enough. Duhigg advises people like Ray to focus on nurturing their new craving. By understanding the cravings that drive our routines, it becomes easier to maintain our habits. Adopting Keystone Habits, Chapter 3. Change can be daunting, and many people fear it. This fear of change can be seen in major companies when new CEOs take over and introduce new policies or change the company's direction. Employees often react skeptically, questioning the CEO's decisions and the company's future. Paul O'Neill experienced this skepticism when he became the CEO of Alcoa, an aluminum company facing challenges, in 1987. Instead of prioritizing profit and revenue, he shocked investors and stakeholders by making workplace safety his top priority. Many didn't understand his approach and doubted his credibility, with one investor even describing him as a crazy hippie who would ruin the company. However, O'Neill understood the importance of changing the company's habits. He realized that not all habits are equal. Some are more critical than others. These essential habits, known as keystone habits, can lead to success. Focusing on one or two keystone habits can create a domino effect of positive change within an organization. O'Neill prioritized worker safety, which prompted managers and employees to find ways to make the manufacturing process safer and communicate safety suggestions effectively. This resulted in a more productive and profitable organization. After O'Neill's retirement in 2000, Alcoa's annual net income had grown five-fold since he took over. This success story shows how changing keystone habits can bring positive transformations to even large corporations. Individuals can also implement changes by identifying their own keystone habits. By focusing on one or two critical priorities, they can trigger a ripple effect of positive change in various aspects of their lives. Michael Phelps, the Olympic gold medalist swimmer, attributes his success to visualization and calming techniques, which he considers his keystone habits. He believes that his ability to picture his achievements and manage his nerves set him apart from others. Research also suggests that developing keystone habits can be crucial for adopting healthier behaviors, especially when trying to lose weight. Focusing on just one habit, like keeping a food journal, can act as a small win that triggers a domino effect, leading to more positive lifestyle changes. The significance of willpower, Chapter 4. Replacing bad habits with good ones sounds simple in theory, like swapping whiskey for a swim, cigarettes for gum, or a weekend TV binge for an outdoor hike. But if you've ever tried to quit smoking or lose weight, you know how challenging it can be to adopt these new habits. That's because our willpower plays a crucial role in forming important habits. Duhigg states that no other keystone habit is as vital as willpower. In the 1960, Stanford conducted a famous study involving 4-year-olds. Each child faced a choice: eat a marshmallow immediately or wait a few minutes to receive 2 marshmallows. Researchers left the room for 15 minutes, and only about 30% of the children resisted the temptation to eat the marshmallow. Years later, when researchers tracked down these participants as adults, they found that those who displayed willpower and waited for the 2 marshmallows had better grades in school, were more popular, and were less likely to develop bad habits like drug addiction. Similar findings emerged in other studies, such as one in 2005 involving 8th graders who exhibited high levels of willpower, achieving better grades and having a higher chance of getting into prestigious schools. Willpower isn't something we're born with. It's a skill we can train and strengthen over time. For example, Starbucks noticed that their employees could maintain their composure and be kind to customers until a stressful situation arose. When faced with a challenging customer, most of their willpower drained away, and they struggled to stay composed. To help employees handle such situations better, Starbucks introduced the latte method, a series of steps for addressing customer complaints calmly and effectively. By practicing this method, Starbucks employees learned how to preserve their willpower and stay composed during stressful interactions. You can apply a similar approach in your life, creating your own method for handling challenging situations. For instance, Duhigg discusses how hip replacement patients who planned and mentally prepared for painful exercises were more likely to overcome these challenges, even though they didn't use the latte method. The significance of belief, Chapter 5. Have you ever noticed that forming a new habit can be much more challenging when you're doing it alone? Going to the gym after work might seem difficult when you're by yourself, but it becomes easier when you have a workout buddy. Similarly, in workplaces, implementing new policies is smoother when everyone is on board, while opposition or resistance can make adopting new habits much harder. Duhigg introduces the idea that belief plays a significant role in habit formation. When you believe in what you're doing and have the support of others, it becomes easier to establish new habits. Conversely, when there's doubt or resistance from someone, it can hinder your efforts to adopt new habits. Belief, Chapter 5. Why is it often harder to establish new habits on your own? For instance, going to the gym after work might feel challenging when you're alone, but it becomes more manageable when you have a workout buddy. Similarly, in a workplace, implementing new policies is smoother when everyone is on the same page, but resistance or opposition can make it difficult to adopt new habits. Duhigg introduces the concept that belief plays a significant role in habit formation. When you believe in what you're doing and have the support of others, it becomes easier to establish new habits. Conversely, when there's doubt or resistance from someone, it can hinder your efforts to adopt new habits. We can look back to Rosa Parks in 1955 as an example. She sparked a civil rights movement by refusing to give up her bus seat to a white man in Montgomery, Alabama. Interestingly, Rosa Parks wasn't the first person to take such a stand. So, why did she become a catalyst for change? One of the main reasons was her strong social ties and her active involvement in her community. She was well known and had an array of friends in various community organizations. Once she refused to give up her bus seat, her extensive social network influenced others through peer pressure. Belief alone isn't enough. There needs to be a community of people actively supporting a cause. When her network of friends and acquaintances started participating in the movement, it became challenging for others to opt out. However, as participation waned over time, the final piece of the puzzle fell into place: Martin Luther King Jr.'s advocacy for nonviolent protests and forgiveness towards oppressors. This call to action formed new habits as people began to organize church meetings and peaceful protests. Most importantly, a group of people believed that change could happen. Willpower alone isn't enough to initiate change. Belief that change is possible is equally important. Habits become your responsibility, Chapter 6. Once you recognize the need to change your habits, it becomes your responsibility to take the necessary steps to do so. To illustrate this point, Duhigg introduces two cases where individuals were taken to court due to mistakes that escalated because of their habits. The first case involves Brian Thomas, who, in 2008, accidentally strangled his wife to death during a sleep terror episode. Researchers showed that during a sleep terror, brain activity shuts down, leaving only primitive neurological regions active. Thomas believed he was protecting his wife from a perceived threat, and his defense argued that he was acting on an automatic habit. The second case features Angie Bachman, sued by a casino company for $500,000 in unpaid gambling debts. Despite her gambling problem and bankruptcy, the casino company continued to send her enticing offers, exacerbating her addiction. Bachman argued that her actions were driven by habit. The outcomes of these cases differed significantly. Thomas was acquitted, with many expressing sympathy for him, considering his actions a tragic accident during sleep. In contrast, Bachman lost her case and faced public scorn. The key distinction was that Bachman recognized her gambling problem and had the free will to change her behavior. She could have opted out of receiving casino offers and taken steps to avoid them. Thomas, on the other hand, had no control over his actions during the sleep terror. In the end, it's up to you to change your habits. Recognizing the need for change and taking responsibility are essential steps toward creating positive habits in your life. We've reached the conclusion of our summary for The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. If you found this summary valuable, we invite you to subscribe to our channel and connect with us on social media to stay updated with our content. If this brief overview has piqued your interest and you'd like to delve deeper into the book's insights, you can easily acquire a copy through the link thoughtfully provided in the description. Your feedback means a lot to us, and we're eager to hear your thoughts and suggestions for future book summaries. Please don't hesitate to share your ideas with us. Thank you for joining us today, and we wish you a splendid day ahead.